Hello, whiskey folk. It's Thursday night, 9:45. Welcome, everybody. Fantastic to see you all pouring in again. And of course, welcome if you're watching this on the replay. I could make a promise to try and keep this a bit more succinct and compact tonight, but I know I'm probably going to fail like I always do, but I will try my very, very best. Fantastic to see everybody. I can see everybody coming in for another Whiskey Thursday hangout. I can see there is a bunch of you already waiting and pouring in. I'm going to welcome you all in just a second. There is a rough theme tonight. Always kind of prefer to have a theme just so that when I fall on nothing to talk about, can't remember why I'm here, I've got a theme that I can kind of fall back on. And recently I put out a video, a pre-recorded video of a guide, a kind of overview of Diageo's Flora and Fauna series. And I was kind of thinking that I might just kind of extend that, just kind of take that Flora and Fauna thing and have a Flora and Fauna live night. There's a couple of problems with that. And one of them is that it's not available or easily available to everybody, especially in some states in the US. I know that some people in Canada can get it, but not all the provinces in Canada. It seems to be okay in Europe, and it's certainly well represented in the UK. But that was going to be one of the problems talking about Flora and Fauna. We can't really sit and get enthusiastic about whiskey that not everyone can easily get their hands on. But it got me thinking about presentation. And one of the points I made in that video was talking about how that whiskey is presented. And if I use my own kind of ready reckoner, the whiskey ABCD, you know, A for age statement, well, they all carry an age statement, so they get a point for that. And for bottling strength at 43%, B bottling strength, they get half a point at 43 for the entire range. But they don't score anything on natural color, D for dye, and C for chill filtration. They don't score anything on that either, because even if they are unchill filtered, and even if they are non-coloured, there's been no added colour, it doesn't really say, it doesn't tell us on the label. There's not really much in the way of any disclosure there. So it got me thinking about that, because I really like that range, and I enjoy the whiskey in that range as well. And I got to thinking about you know, the whiskies that do bring that do present it at a better bottling strength with an age statement where possible, with information about the natural colour and chill filtration method. And then I wondered, am I actually enjoying those whiskies more than these Flora and Fauna? So I tried a few, and I picked out the whiskies that I have in my collection and looked at them and thought about them. And I realised something that was quite striking, and that is they're generally not mass market whiskies. They're lower volume whiskies. They're much more niche products, of course, that's obvious. But with very few exceptions, they were all very characterful whiskies. Quite unbelievable, you know. No edges knocked off, no softening going on, no weakening, no roundening, no making it more palatable for whoever. Just really good quality, characterful, definable, enjoyable whiskies. Lots of them had really good texture. Lots of them had nice grip. Lots of them had nice, distinct, unique flavors. So that motivated me to bring that up as the theme tonight. That's what I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to mention the producers and shout out the producers and get excited about the producers that are bringing that much more natural presentation, that much more characterful presentation, much more engaging whiskey experiences. Because I think as whiskey fans, we've been demanding that for a long time. So when the producers out there, maybe to carve themselves their own niche or whatever reason, whatever motivation they have, maybe they themselves as producers are real whiskey folk, whatever reason has motivated them to do that, I would like that to succeed. I would like that to be a beacon, much in the way that Springbank has been a beacon, to show other producers out there that it can be done naturally. People will follow, people will engage with it, and people will celebrate it. So that's kind of the rough theme tonight. But I have had a fantastic couple of weeks in whiskey. It's been really cool. I've managed to meet up with a few of you guys and shake your hands personally, which was fantastic. I'll talk about that a bit later. I managed also to make a trip up to Speyside as well. I got to see inside Macallan, the new Macallan distillery, which was more than eye-popping. It was really quite defining. We'll talk a bit about Macallan because, yeah, we'll talk about that a wee bit later. I'll share with you my experience at Macallan. Generally, there's lots of things that I can't talk about because there's an embargo there. It's not opened yet, and it won't be open until sometime in early June, they think. And they're still ironing out a few kinks, and they're still getting some things put together. But it was a fantastic experience, and I do want to share some of the things that I saw there. And yeah, I just want to enjoy sitting back and having a few naturally presented drams with you tonight. And you won't be surprised to hear that I'm starting off with a Deanston. So tell me what you guys are drinking as I welcome you in. Let's use Whiskey Throttle's little tip and pull up the participant list so that I can see who's active and who's commenting. Amy, fantastic to welcome you in again. Superb. Ben Marnick. Ben, I heard a little bird told me that you bumped into the Whiskey Rev at Macallan. That was fantastic. That was good to hear that. Fantastic to have you in, Ben. Bronco Rog, fantastic to see you in as well. Chris Beaton is in. Kieran May, fantastic. Colourless Blue Things. Daydramming. Dram Dude. I'm realising that these are in alphabetical order. Charles Drinking Caveman. I caught some cool pictures of you, Charles, with Jason Whiskey Wise down in Milroys of London. That was superb. Been awesome if we'd have been a bit closer, but obviously down in London, that's kind of an hour's flight for me, or 5 or 6 hours driving. But maybe next time, buddy, that would be fantastic. Everwind, superb. Everwind, good to see you back again. George Kaplan, just welcomed you and Amy in on the Patreon show, along with Gillian as well. Fantastic to see you guys and joining me here as well. Gregor, superb to see you. And Hoyt, fantastic to get you in on a live. Again, Jan Frederick Leverson, fantastic to see you in. Jason Coates, Jason Fisk, my friend Jason Whiskey Wise, and there's a lot of Jasons in here because I can see Jason Malt Reviews in as well. So that's 4 Jasons we have tonight. But Jason Whiskey Wise is moderating for me. So if you need to get something to my attention, make sure you highlight that with Jason. And if you want to stay to the end, and I'll try and make it not too late to participate in the quiz, there is a quiz, of course, tonight, as usual, as a regular Thursday night. Casper is in. Casper, fantastic. Nice little exchange that we had recently on the Flora and Fauna thing. I know you picked yourself up a Linkwood and a Benrinnes. I hope that you're enjoying those because they're really decent drams. Loch Ness is in. Fantastic to have you in. Malt Chronicles. Mateo 5001. Is that a new name? Welcome in. It's good to welcome you here, my friend. OJ for Hire. Good to have you in, my friend. Another one of my patrons, fantastic. Paul Gibbs, superb, buddy. Good to see you in. Paul was one of the guys I managed to hook up with and shake his hand on his birthday. I was able to buy Paul a birthday dram in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago, which was fantastic. Raster is in as well, superb. Reb Mordecai, Rombout Iladdy is in. Santa Cruzan, Sid Martin, Stephen Grimes, Stuart Peel, The Whiskey Dram, Tom R., Toon Van Rouge, and Whiskey Throttle. It's fantastic to see so many people, and let's hope that we can keep it interesting for you, because I am a wee bit tired. There's been lots of whiskey things happening, which have been really cool, really fun things. Work is really quite busy just now, and family never gets quiet, right? That always kind of stays super busy. So yeah, it's been tricky. Wow, I've had a super chat in from Casper already. Just want to thank you again, Roy, for the amazing content you put out. Casper, you are very, very welcome. Thank you for your contribution. And as long as I'm inspired, mostly by you guys, I'll keep trying to bring out more and more content. And as long as you guys are turning up and participating on these Thursday nights as well, I'll continue to bring this. Although I do plan to have a break in summer. I've always said since I started this that I would have a break in summer. But I would be talking about July and August, finishing up at sometime in June and then starting up again sometime in September. And once I've tied that down, I will share it with you. But thank you, Casper. Thank you very much. Would love to hear how you're getting on with those Flora and Fauna bottles as well. I'm going to just drag this down and try and catch anything that's been highlighted for my attention and check to see if my buddy has joined me. No, he's not joined me yet. Jason is not in here yet. You don't need to be, Jason. Just let me know if you're having any problems with the link joining in on the call. Kieran also made a donation. Kieran, I missed that while I was going through the participant list. Thank you so much, my friend. Wonderful to have you make a donation. No comment or anything. Thank you so much, Kieran. It's fantastic. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It's Kieran. I'm just assuming that that's it. Thank you anyway. Toon is saying Aqvavitae. My go-to is the Deanston 12. Thanks to you. I bought a bottle and thought it was great. I bought 3 yesterday. Wow. Well, one day, Toon, you're going to come over here. You're going to go up and you're going to visit Deanston because they do a fantastic tour as well. Staff there are super friendly, lovely atmosphere. They do a warehouse tour. It's not expensive. I'm excited to go up and try the warehouse tour at Deanston. I haven't done it yet. But I went up to Deanston quite recently and met Eire McFault, one of my patrons. Now, Eire isn't in tonight yet, but we were able to shake hands, and I met him at Deanston. And we hung out there for a little while, and I couldn't. I took the car. I had to bring a sample or two home. I got to try the Decennery, which means I can wait a wee bit longer before opening mine. And they sent me back a 15-year-old Sauterne finish, which was superb, to the point that when I tried it that night, I felt like getting in the car as soon as possible and going back up to buy this. It was excellent. Just loving literally everything that comes out of Deanston. And again, why is that? Is it just because they've got a magical whiskey maker? Is it just that the new make is brilliant? Or is it perhaps that they've worked out how to bring us good, characterful whiskies presented the way that we've been asking for? Can we just check if Roy is wearing pants, please? I'm not wearing pants. I'm wearing jeans. But I should be wearing shorts tonight because it's really clammy. The temperature it's not particularly hot outside, but our houses in Scotland tend to be very well insulated. So when the temperature goes up a bit and we forget to adjust the heating down, the house can get quite warm. So it's a wee bit clammy in here, but I'm okay. I'm comfortable just now. And hopefully to your relief, Rombout, I am wearing, well, jeans, pants. Have I missed anyone else trying to get a hold of me? Colourless Blue Things is saying, Aqvavitae, did you start early? Just got a notification now. Yeah, do you know what? The YouTube notifications are a wee bit screwy, which is kind of why the people that I've got the contact details for on Patreon, I'm sending out reminders and links there as well, because I noticed that when I am using YouTube myself as a viewer, my notifications for the live sometimes skip in a little bit late after they've started. It would be good if they sorted that out. Dwayne, managed to shake your hand as well recently. Dwayne, fantastic to have you in as well. He's saying hello, as is Andrew down in Australia. He's saying good morning, Roy. Good morning, Andrew. It's always fantastic to see you in as well, you making that special effort. Jason is saying he didn't get any link. Jason, I will try to send it again. I'll send it quickly now because I know that you need that. What Jason I sent that to? Sure, I've already sent it out, buddy. If there are maybe one of the Jasons that I know has received a link to come in and join the hangout, the live hangout. Okay, Jason, I've sent it to you again, my friend. I hope you get that. Superb. Eire is in. Fantastic, Eire. He's saying, hi, Roy. Just got back from Speyside just a few years ago. Wow, that was really quite a journey you had there. I hope it was fantastic, Eire. It was certainly a pleasure for me to meet you at the start of your tour. Tom Harris saying, Roy, happy birthday. I have mine on this coming Monday. Well, what is this coming Monday? That's the 14th, is that, Tom? That still makes us both Taurus. It doesn't mean anything to me, but other than a cool thing. Happy birthday when it comes, Tom. Fantastic, and thanks for wishing me a happy birthday too. I had a fantastic birthday. I'm enjoying a Springbank 12. Cask Strength, says Stephen Grimes. Superb. I've actually got a Springbank back here, but I'm embarrassed to say I haven't opened it yet. If you guys bully me enough tonight, perhaps I'll open my Springbank 12. Travis is saying happy birthday to both of you. Mine is tomorrow. Wow, there's a lot of me birthdays. Happy birthday tomorrow, Travis. Travis just joined me on a quick call on the Patreon only hangout that we had beforehand, just to say hello to him, jumping in. Fantastic to see Travis and finally meet him face to face, at least virtually. Whiskey Throttle is saying, finally I can see and hear you. I hope there's not been a problem at my side, Daniel. I hope it's all okay. Hoagie's in. Fantastic, Hoagie. Good to see you too, my friend. Always good to welcome you in. How's things over in Germany? What do you have in your hand, Hoagie? Jason, whiskey-wise, Andrew's saying, Springbank, of course. I love Cadenhead indie bottlings. Yes, fantastic independent bottler. Give the Flora and Fauna range is not readily available. Okay, yeah. Flora and Fauna in Australia, I guess, is pretty tricky then, is it, Andrew? Connor is saying the Deanston 18 is good, but I think the 12 is more impressive. That's interesting. I think the 18 is a much softer experience. And I think it's drawing from stocks as well when they... Yes, I would say that the Deanston 18-year-old is still a fantastic, fantastic dram. I think the casks they use for that is ex-bourbon, but I think they pour it for I think they do a finish like first fill bourbon for a couple of years or something. But it's a softer, sweeter, rounder experience. I think that's a good point you make there. There's a very good character and engagement that comes in the 12. And it bodes well for an 18-year-old in the future, certainly. Notifications need to be adjusted on occasion, Whiskey Throttle Daniel. I think you're absolutely right. Some people, including me, do have some problems with it. And Era is saying, you're living in a wonderful country, Roy. Enjoyed every moment of it. That's fantastic to hear. I was up in Speyside recently as well, Era. I took a little drive around. Every corner you turn around, there's a distillery just kind of hanging on the hillside there. It's fantastic. And I got to see inside the new Macallan, wonderful. And as I was driving up the A9 and driving back down again, I did have that same feeling, Era. So even although I live here, I'm very appreciative of where I live. I think I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very lucky to be here. Mikey's saying, open the Springbank 12. So you're the first of the crowd who's going to bully me tonight. Daniel's saying, no problem on your end. Good. I was in a long meeting listening to engineers going on and on and on. Good. Well, it's 10 o'clock here now, so it's 5 o'clock your time, Daniel, I think. So hopefully you're getting some downtime to be able to listen in. And Hoagie's saying, no whiskey for me now. I had a small tasting tonight with a friend with a great newly released Ben Nevis 12 sherry cask, heavily peated by Italian bottler Hidden Spirits. Wow. We've been really struck by the Ben Nevis 10 recently. Again, one of those really engaging, characterful whiskies from a distillery that I have to say I've had really quite mixed experiences from, but that 10-year-old seems to be quite a decent bottle. It's just too many bottles that I want to get my hands on. Of course, it's getting crazy. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that thing. Behind me, over my shoulder here, I've got a bunch of examples of whiskies that I think could be worthy candidates as examples of producers who are kind of doing it right. So, I mean, let's start with that Springbank. And I've also got a long row here as well. We're talking about the same distillery, of course. I've also got Springbank Bourbon Wood. This one's not opened yet either. But these guys are the torchbearers for this. You know, they've not always been super successful, but they've always been loved and they've always been doing it in a very natural, traditional way. And now they are being super successful. And these guys are doing it differently. They're the kind of maverick, independent type guys doing it their own way. And everybody can just take a run, you know, because they're not in a hurry to switch it up. They're not in a hurry to they don't seem to be in a hurry to make lots and lots more whiskey. They're not in a hurry to build their capacity. They're very happy with what they're doing. And also what's really striking about them is despite them being able, some of their expressions are a bit more expensive than others. I don't want to say they're expensive, but there's usually a very good reason for it. For example, their local barley releases and things like that, or their special releases. But let's use this as an example to talk about how, if you went to the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, for example, and you were to buy a bottle from them of Cask Strength 12-year-old whiskey, and you were to pick it up for somewhere in the regions of £50, that would be a fantastic bargain. This is a branded official bottling of 12-year-old, naturally presented Springbank at 56.3%. Obviously, batch by batch, the ABV changes. And this cost me £54. That shows that they are not taking the mickey out of us. They're able to bring a natural product at a reasonable price and do it very, very consistently. Now, not everyone loves Springbank. Not everyone loves that Springbank flavor, that funk, as some people call it, that sourness, that earthiness, the qualities that Springbank have. But maybe they would enjoy a long row, or maybe they would enjoy a Hazelburn, the triple distilled Springbank. They don't have to love it, but you have to admit that it's characterful. It's very characterful. And once you get a taste for this whiskey, it becomes very addictive, looking for that character, looking for those extra layers that are just knocked out or rounded off or chipped away in some other distillery's core expressions. So these guys are the torchbearers. These guys have been doing it well, and it's almost redundant talking about them because everybody knows now, or I guess most of the people in this chat know how good Springbank are at doing this. And when expressions like this hit the shelf now, in fact, they sometimes don't even hit the shelf. This one did okay. This is a decent quantity of release. But other ones like the local barley, like this 14-year-old Bourbon wood, like the sherry cask expressions, like any of the special editions, literally, the allocation is so tight in Scotland just now that they don't see the shelf. Literally, you're putting your name on a list, which is unfortunate, but they're being successful. They know they're going to sell their product, and they know that it's being loved by people. And I think lots and lots of other producers now are starting to work out that natural presentation has an audience, has a passionate audience. And not only are they passionate, but they're willing to talk about it and share their experiences, which is what I'm doing just now, which is what I've been doing for months about Deanston and the Burn Stewart or Distell-owned products under Burn Stewart. Tobermory, Lechic, Bunnahabhain and Deanston, 46.3% most of the time, unless it's a special release, an age statement, and natural colour and chill filtration, and still reasonable price as well. Jason is saying, did you hear about the new releases from Springbank tomorrow? Jason, I didn't. I haven't yet. I haven't had really time to settle. Where was the talk about that? Was that Twitter, or was that on a news site somewhere, or what? And Scott is saying, I'll bring you a sample of the Springbank 14 Bourbon Wood when I see you next month. Save that bottle for later. Okay, buddy. Fantastic. I did get to try this, if I'm honest, Scott. I got to try the Bourbon Wood at the Whiskey Club last year. So I know it's a damn good dram. I was very, very happy to find this and buy it up when I bought it. But that's a very nice gesture of you, Scott. I'm looking forward, you and I getting together. We're going to hook up and get to that tasting, aren't we? It's at the end of June, isn't it? Tom is saying, Aqvavitae for my birthday. I bought myself a Springbank 20 fresh rum cask bottle. Tom, I haven't even heard of that one. I was wondering if you'd ever had one of the rum cask finished bottles. Never have I had Springbank from a rum cask. Was that an official Springbank, or was it one through Cadenheads? Or it would have to be official, I guess. Raster is saying, Raster was saying before it jumped and disappeared, I apologise, Raster, with the Springbank 10 I add a teaspoon of water to 35ml, pour, and then I wait a bit. Works great. Do you know what else works great, Raster, especially with that 10-year-old, and I agree, it handles water fantastically well. It really makes it sparkle and fizz. Just a little teaspoon of water, I think you're absolutely spot on there. What I also think makes that jump out the glass, and I encourage you to do this, is pour something, anything run-of-the-mill, whether it's just a Glenfiddich or a Glenmorangie or whatever it is, whatever you have that's running around, but one that's kind of a bit more, let's say, mass market presented, something at 40%, 43%, ex-bourbon, what have you, something, and just sip it in contrast with that Springbank 10. Because sometimes we start with the Springbank 10, but that Springbank 10 is really a rich experience. It's very, very complex. At 46%, it does handle the water well. And it just, you can start to peel layer after layer after layer with that bottle. And it's one of those fantastic shapeshifters as the level in the bottle goes down. Every time you go back to it, week after week, it switches up and it's changed a bit. And your memory of it is betrayed because of the new experience you're having with it. It's quite fantastic. I was reading somebody in a live stream recently that typed in, and of course this happens, they said, I've only ever had the Springbank 10 and I'll never go back. It was terrible. And I understand that. I'm going to talk about that a bit later tonight, because some of the distilleries I'm going to be sharing with you, Ben Nevis and Loch Lomond, I've had bad experiences with, and indeed Deanston I had a bad experience with. But was it because the whiskey hadn't come on yet? Perhaps. Was it because I wasn't ready for it yet? Perhaps. Likely, often. And as time goes by, and as you try whiskies, and as your palate changes, you start to look for different things. And what Springbank brings is awesome, and still fairly unique. Very unique, I would say. Good point, Raston. Absolutely. A teaspoon of water. Springbank does fantastic. Aqvavitae saying, Tom Harris saying Aqvavitae, it's official. Not many bottles made. Yeah, that's Springbank right now. Really is. And Friday night at the end of June should be a cracking night. That's the Old and Rare tasting in Glasgow with Angus McRailed. I'm super excited about it. I love those tastings that he does. Raster is saying Aqvavitae, that's a great idea. Yeah, honestly, because when you start with that Springbank 10, you're kind of sipping it as the starter for the night, because it's 10-year-old and it's, Springbank's entry level, I guess. But it's way, way, way further down the line than that. You could have 3 or 4 drams before that Springbank 10 to build up to it. Honestly, it's such a fantastic thing. Welsh Toro's in. Fantastic to see you, my friend. It's great to welcome you in. And he's saying, had a slurp of Flora and Fauna Inchgour in the pub earlier. That's a tasty little number. Yeah, I found the Inchgour to be one of the slightly herbal ones. I think that was the one that I got quite a bit of pine needles from. Spent quite a bit of time with it now, Welsh Toro. And again, that's kind of what I'm talking about. There's a bit of character in there. Can you imagine how good that would be if Diageo just gave us it like a batch-driven thing, naturally presented, slightly higher ABV, unchill filtered, all the oils, all the structure, everything intact, and said, you know what, we don't care if this is different batch to batch. The colour's going to change. Here you go. Just be awesome, wouldn't it? Swami's come in and he's given me a donation. I think he's going to bully me on the Springbank 12. Springbank 12 is my favourite whiskey of all time. Thank you very much, Swami. I tell you what, this may be the one that's getting uncorked tonight, and I'll raise a little glass to you out there in Montreal, my friend. Fantastic. I haven't tried this year's batch yet. I haven't even had a sample of it. But it's a fantastic whiskey. And again, one of those whiskies, you sit with a teaspoon and a glass of water, and it'll change its clothes for you every time you add a wee bit more water. It's quite amazing. Hoggy Bear is asking, did you have a heavily peated Arran yet? I've tried the Machrie Moor. Is that the expression you're talking about? Or are you talking about some of the, I think you can get some independent peated Arrans. The Machrie Moor, I don't have much memory of it, Hoagie, so I can't really enthuse with you too much about that. But again, Arran, I don't know, what would you suggest? That Arran should have their name shouted out for somebody who's trying to bring us a more natural product? What do you think? Connor is saying, when is the tasting? The Angus McRailed Old and Rare tasting is at the end of June at the Good Spirits Company in Glasgow. It's not a cheap tasting, but I guarantee you it will be a fantastic value tasting. I think it's, Scott, you might help Connor out there. I think it's on, is it the 29th of June? I'm maybe just guessing there a bit. And Stephen Grimes, fantastic to see you in. Stephen is saying, have you tried Springbank 15? Yeah, I've got this much left downstairs. Just nursing it a little bit. Another fantastic dram, shares a lot of the same characteristics in terms of complexity with the 10, but can be tricky to get a hold of. I've also got the 18 downstairs, super tricky to get a hold of. I've got the local barley as well. Yeah, I've gone from having only very occasional experiences with Springbank to making sure I've always got a decent amount in the cupboards downstairs. Rod is in. Roddy, my friend, good to see you in here. And he's confirming that it's Friday the 29th. Superb. I was in the shop today, Roddy, and I picked up something specifically for tonight. I've been putting off picking one up, and I stopped in a couple of places recently, and it was sold out. But I've been trying this recently. And this is a distillery that's bringing us the presentation that I'm talking about now. I went to a tasting a couple of years back, 3 years back, 2 years back. I don't even remember when it was. And it was a vertical flight from this distillery, and I didn't engage. I didn't connect with it at all. And I don't know why. I don't know if it was because of the whiskies and the form they were presented at that time, whether it was me on an off night, it can happen, whether I just wasn't ready yet, but everything I was trying just was not sitting well. And I disengaged with it. And then recently I went back to it, and I went back to it again, and I went back to it again. And every time I'm struck by how characterful and how good these whiskies are, to the point that, Roddy, I made a trip into your store, your shop today, Good Spirits Company in Glasgow, just to pick up a bottle of this so that I could uncork it tonight. And that is a Loch Lomond. Now, curiously, there's not much on the label here. It tells you that it's a Loch Lomond 12-year-old. Now, recently, Phil from Whiskey Wednesday has been on a bit of a Loch Lomond rant, and I really trust that guy's palate. I really do. I think when he says something's really good and worth paying attention to, I sit up and I pay attention. Usually I agree with him, and if it's something I've not tried before, I often invest, and I'm yet to disagree with him. So I went into Glasgow tonight and I picked up the 12-year-old. The 18-year-old that he's just reviewed recently is not that much more expensive. It's less than £80. And this one, I think, is hovering about, Roddy, you can probably confirm, I think I paid about £40 for this tonight. And this is the first time I've owned a bottle of Loch Lomond and kept it at home. But everywhere I've been going, I've been buying this by the dram. On Saturday, I was out for my birthday, I was buying it by the dram. Pubs in Glasgow, I'm buying it by the dram. And each time I find I'm loving it more and more. So I don't know if Loch Lomond is available near you, but Loch Lomond is really one of the most versatile distilleries in Scotland in terms of the stills that they have. Quite unbelievable, the selection of stills. I don't know if it's easy to get a hold of the product, how well it is distributed, but the volume that they produce is high. They make a lot of product. And I would like to think that I'm certainly seeing it in a lot of airport duty-frees or travel retail as they're known now. That's a great pot. And yes, they're starting to appear everywhere. Now, obviously, this is the first pour from the top of this bottle. This is an uncorking. This isn't a... Can't really review this. Wow. Very Springbanky. There's a bit of peat in there. There's a bit of peat on the nose there. Quite Springbanky in style. Quite earthy, quite meaty, a little bit of sour note. This is a 40 quid whiskey. It's £40. Roddy, I don't know if you're still in. I don't know if you're able to confirm that. But 46% ABV and an age statement on the front. Now, they don't mention natural colour on the label, and I did have a poke around and I had a look for it. They don't mention it, but I'm reliably informed by the guys in the shop that in the clearer bottles, they can, so there's Inchmore and Inchmurren, as well as some other expressions that are not always in this dark green colour bottle. And when they get these in batch by batch, they can clearly see variation in the colour from one batch to the other. So they can see that they're not naturally colouring this product. Fantastic, superb. And also around the back in very small print, it says non-chill filtered. Exactly what we want. It doesn't need to be emblazoned right across the label at the front. Not everybody cares or knows what chill filtration is. But the fact that they're putting that on the label is superb. Superb. Eric is saying Loch Lomond is on my itinerary. Fantastic, Eric. I'll send you my final copy this weekend. I was going to send you a little chaser, Eric. Fantastic to welcome you in, just to work out how you're getting on with that. I picked up in your live stream that you've booked an Islay tour with a group, it seemed like, so maybe a Scottish Roots type thing or something like that. Fantastic. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what your itinerary is. It would be awesome if we could get to it would be awesome if we could get together while you're over here. Roddy is saying it is coloured as far as I know. Well, Ebon has told me that the range is not coloured. But I guess unless you speak to anyone that's involved directly in the production or maybe in the bottling of it, I don't know if you're actually, Roddy, might be taking you out of context there. I don't know if you're actually talking about the Loch Lomond. Loch Lomond is plentiful here in New Hampshire. Fantastic metal, man. Have you got any experience with it? Have you tried it? Jason Whiskey Wise is saying £42 in London, and they also own Glen Scotia and Campbelltown. Again, Glen Scotia is another distillery. And I've been talking about the double cask as a non-age statement whiskey is pretty decent value for money as well. But this is one I picked up at Travel Retail. This is a 16-year-old, which is a Travel Retail expression. I've got through quite a lot of it, really enjoying it. Lots and lots to taste in this, 46%. And again, not non-chill filtered is written across on the back. And again, the brand ambassador for Glen Scotia and Loch Lomond, it's obviously the same company, has told us that they don't use artificial colouring. Tony Evans, fantastic to see you as well, Tony. He's saying Aqvavitae almost bought a Loch Lomond 12 last week, but went for a Deanston 12 and 12s because I can't be without one. So very interested. Well, this is not the same style of whiskey as a Deanston 12. Deanston 12 is kind of malty, lots of barley sugar, nice sweetness in there. It's got, I think, quite a nice mouthfeel and texture. Whereas Loch Lomond is slightly sour, a bit darker, a bit richer in nature. Smoke, I mean, I don't, this is as smoky as I've ever encountered it, maybe just on the back of the Deanston tonight. Yeah, that is really smoky. James Hope is saying, just check the German website and it isn't coloured. I was talking to somebody about that recently, and I mean, we've come to trust, the German feedback there, because their packaging will often say mit Farbstoff or whatever it says on it. If E150A has been added, they've got to declare it. But I think what happens a lot of time in Germany, if there's ever doubt or they're not sure, they put that on the labelling just to cover themselves. So it's not always completely reliable. And Dwayne is saying, I picked up the Loch Lomond 12 and Loch Lomond Inchmore 10 at Glasgow Airport in April. Wonder if you've opened them, Dwayne, if you've got any feedback. And Eric's saying he's doing Islay with Scottish tours. Scottish tours. Is that Scottish roots? And Daydreaming, Andrew's saying, I like Loch Lomond 12. We started getting them again when they re-imaged. That's right. It reminds me of a Peaty Glenfiddich 12 with more oomph. Yeah, it's quite meaty tonight. It's definitely quite meaty. I mean, this is obviously quite a tight dram. I've just poured this from a fresh bottle. It needs to just sit for a wee while, I think. Metalman is saying that he hasn't tried the Loch Lomond as of yet. And Tom is saying, being a Taurus, have you tried Black Bull 12 from Duncan Taylor? No, I haven't. 50% ABV, 50% malt, and 50% grain. Reasonably priced. I tried it and really enjoyed it. That's a good shout. Black Bull 12, huh? I haven't even seen it. It's one to look out for, Tom. Oh, yeah, and I've just worked out the Taurus thing. Bill, of course. Superb. Hey, Rob's just dropped in, and he's dropped in for, he's paying his late fees. Thank you very much, Rob. Fantastic to see you in. I love you too, my friend. It's good to welcome you here, especially if you bring drams. Thank you very much. And Holgi is saying, true regards to current distilleries follow the better safe than sorry policy in Germany, and retailers, I guess, or whoever it might be, often stating colourant even if it's not in the whiskey. I think that happened recently with Lagavulin 8, didn't it? But fantastic to welcome Robin. Great to have you here, my friend. Rob has just been nominated for the Blind Challenge, the Aqvavitae Blind Challenge. Scott from Scotch Test Dummies nominated Rob. Rob, we need to have a talk because I've come up with a cool way in order for us to get your Blind Challenge to you without breaking any laws or, let's say, running the risk of having whiskies trapped at Canadian customs, which has happened to me in the past, which has been painful. So I've come up with a way to get around that. I'll be excited to share that with you and see what you think about it. And it means bringing another collaborator, but he's one of our friends, and indeed he's in here tonight. Nonsense Whiskey Vin has just dropped in as well. He's saying good evening. Welcome in, Vin. Fantastic to see you. Great to see you could make it. I thought you were out tonight. Laddie is in as well. Now, Rombout, you had a couple of contributions to make actually in terms of people that you wanted to give a shout out for distilleries and producers that are bringing a good natural presentation, and I made a little note of them and these are ones that I don't have any intelligence on at all because they're not Scotch, and I apologize, I am kind of green when it comes to anything that is not Scotch. I'm still very green when it comes to Scotch. Even Daydramming, Andrew has just saying he's off to work. He's left me a little dram. Thank you very much, Andrew. Fantastic. An incentive to open that Springbank 12 Cask Strength during the quiz. Superb. Look forward to the replay tonight and open the same. Well, let's open it together. And I appreciate that you'll be doing it in the replay, Andrew. But that's fantastic of you. Don't work too hard today and catch up on the replay. Superb. Listen, we've peaked we've broken 100 already tonight. While you're here, while you're in, do me the courtesy of just taking a moment to go down and click the like button for me, please. YouTube seems to like it. My videos, everybody's videos, I think, tend to get promoted a wee bit better when they see that positive engagement. So while you're all in here tonight, if you're having a good time and you're enjoying yourself, and I'm not rambling on too much, hit the like button. And I think that what's also fantastic as well is when we use that feed, that comments box underneath to engage. I'm getting lots of messages coming in from Twitter and Instagram and email and just messages all the time, that when I seem to do very well at replying best in YouTube, when you comment in that feed, and I can feed back to you. And then if we have to have a discussion about something that's not appropriate to have in the comments box, we can do direct messaging and things. But I'm very good and I'm fastest at responding, I'm finding, to the people in the feedback in YouTube as well. So yeah, if you're enjoying yourself, give us a wee thumbs up, please. But yeah, I was talking about Rombout's mentions, and he has brought up Westland in the States. I think Westland are in the US. I don't exactly know where Westland are. He also mentioned Corsair, which are in the States as well. He mentioned Koval, Compass Box, yep, Millstone, Dutch distillery. There was a Millstone in the Highlander this week. I was in the Highlander Inn, and they had a Millstone on the bar, the 12-year-old, and there was so much to try in there that we ran out of time, and I didn't try it. I was so tempted. And Bruichladdich. Now, you're a huge Bruichladdich fan, Rombout. I'm not surprised you don't that you put those guys forward. And I know that they've done a lot in terms of when you interrogate them and ask them, they will give you lots of transparency information about what they've put in. I have yet to fully connect with Bruichladdich. Probably I haven't invested enough in them. I always found the range a bit. I never fully connected with Bruichladdich. I've got a couple, and I've got one over. I've actually got a Port Charlotte here that I'm enjoying. I didn't enjoy it the first few drams I had out of it, and then it just came alive once it was in the bottle with a bit of air. It just changed, it transformed, and I'm really enjoying this Port Charlotte that I have here. But that was Rombout's ideas. That's the people that he wanted to put forward. And then Jason from Malt Review, he got involved as well and kind of suggested that, there's a lot of European distilleries doing this. And what I think's happening is that if you're a smaller distillery and if you're not kind of doing massive volumes and general market release, then you have to be more niche. You have to bring something that's a bit more artisan and craft presentation that has to be one of your selling points, I think. Daniel has just said, keep up the good work, Roy, and he's bought me he's bought me a double dram. Thank you so much, Daniel. You're a superstar. And thank you for the recent support that you've given me as well. It's wonderful to have you around, Daniel. I love seeing you, and I love seeing your participation everywhere. And it's great to join you on your lives as well. Daniel does a lot of live streams on both Instagram and on his YouTube channel. The guy is a huge malt head. He loves his whiskey, and he loves sharing his passion for whiskey as well. Thank you, my friend. Malt reviews saying Narroy Brooklandy is a little dull. Yeah. Do you know what, Jason? One of the most transcendent whiskies I tried when I was very early in my whiskey journey was a Brooklandy, a 21-year-old Brooklandy, and I'm going back to 2010. The first dram I had of it was on Islay, and of course that's the place to have these epiphanies, right? But my friend absolutely loved it. And for his birthday, that was shortly after that trip, we bought him a bottle of this Brooklandy 21. So we're going back to, this would have been, 1980s Brooklandy distillate, and it was absolutely fabulous. And I think I've never found another Brooklandy that's reached anything like that pinnacle. And it was only about £100. Now it would be several times more than that. Santa Cruzan has just bought me a dram as well. Thank you so much, Chris. Great show, Roy, and everyone in the chat room. It's a wonderful chat room, isn't it, Chris? The community that's building here on YouTube is just getting better all the time. The spirit, the ambience, the atmosphere that you guys build, the chat that you have backwards and forwards between each other is fantastic. And I love to spend my Thursday nights hanging out with you all. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for a tasty dram. And everyone is saying, so there is a source for who sells the most non-blend single malts, OBs. Wish I knew what the true top 10 are. I'm not sure what you mean there, everyone. So is there a source for who sells the most non-blend single malt official bottlings? The true top 10. Well, Glenfiddich and Glenlivet have been trading blows over the last few years in terms of who's going to be top there. In terms of actual capacity, I think that, I don't know who is a producer, that's obviously Diageo, but as a single malt, I'm not sure who that's going to be now. I think that if Macallan are able to do what they're intending to do with that absolutely huge facility that they've just built up there in Craigellachie, they could easily be the biggest in terms of capacity. But in terms of sales of single malts, it's Glenfiddich and Glenlivet. Ron is saying, thanks for the mention. I'm going to hit the hay and get ready for the dentist tomorrow. It's not just a work day for you tomorrow, it's a work day and the dentist as well, Ron Bout. No problem, Ron Bout. It's great to welcome you in again. Thanks for joining, and thanks for the contribution as well. So who do you think? Make sure that you're highlighting this to me, because that's as the chat is scrolling up. I'm just picking out the people that are highlighting me. Put the @ symbol first. Maybe if you're on a mobile device and that's not working, just maybe shout Aqvavitae in capital letters or something. Or try and copy in Jason as well. See if Jason, switch the camera on. Jason's not joined in the chat yet, no problem. Yes, so let me know who you think should be put forward, because I'm going to share another couple more with you just now. Another distillery that I think's transformed itself in recent years is owned by an independent bottler. And I remember I disconnected because I got gifted an older expression from this distillery, and we got through it, we drank it, but it wasn't particularly memorable. And I'm going back quite a few years now. Now they were owned by this independent bottler back then, but it was early days. And then I bought a non-age statement supermarket deal. I bought from this distillery again. I've still got some of that downstairs. It was a real letdown. Let's Drink Whiskey. Travis has just bought me a belated birthday dram. Thank you so much for that, Travis. You're a superstar. Thank you very much. I don't have cowbell raster. I don't have the dummies thing, but I did have an idea of something I could do with this, and I just haven't done it yet because I thought it could be a little uncouth. But tonight is a very good night for people buying me drams, so I should maybe tee something up for the future, something that I could use in place of a cowbell. But anyway, the distillery I'm talking about is owned by Gordon MacPhail, and it's Benromac. And the whiskies coming out from these guys as well. Again, this is a wee bit similar in style, roughly like it's maybe of the same ilk as some Springbanks. This Loch Lomond that I'm sipping tonight. There's lots of kind of meat and savoury notes about it. There's some sourness, a lot of orange and marmalade type sourness I get in this. this 15-year-old is only at 43%. But a lot of what they're doing is they are trying to, wherever possible, strike that balance between getting volume product out there as natural as they can present it. And one of their bottles, which I actually thought I grabbed and brought upstairs tonight, but I brought this 15-year-old by mistake, is the 100-degree proof version, 50% ABV version of their 10-year-old, which is, again, it's 57%. It's fantastic to play with water. It's nice to just layer it, just drop water, and just spend an hour with a single dram of it. And it's fantastic whiskey for the price. Really, really very good. So that's me throwing forward Benromac. Who else would you suggest? Maybe you can see over my shoulder here to some of these bottles that I've kind of got spread out here to give you some suggestions, or whoever I think. And I've got a little list here in front of me. And I've focused on Scotch malt whiskey distilleries, of course, because that's just where my comfort zone is. Yes. And Nick's just picked out one of them. He's mentioned he's really liking Edredeur at the moment. Edredeur as well, for me, is, I mean, they could potentially become very, very good. But again, it's one of those odd ones. For every fantastic experience I have with Edredeur, I seem to have had another that's kind of like, what's this? It's been a bit odd, and that's probably got as much to do with me as anybody else. And Rasta is saying Scott of STDs used his iPhone. I say cowbell as a shout out to the crowd. Thank you, Rasta. Thank you very much, my friend. Rasta sent me a really cool comment through on YouTube, just listing all the details of his little icon there. If you look at Rasta's icon, that is a Lake Buccaneer, which has got to be one of the coolest airplanes I've ever seen. And after he sent me the details, I went off and I Googled it and I watched some YouTube videos of this airplane. But this thing seems to be the do-all of a little four-seater aircraft that will happily land on water. But then as it's pulling up to like a sloop or a beach or whatever, it can pop out its wheels and with a little kind of dab of gas, it can pull itself up onto the beach. It can use regular runways and things like that. It just sounded like such a cool thing. Such a very cool thing. And Rasta actually owns one of those little Lake Buccaneers. Very, very cool. Jason, whiskey-wise, now there's one that's not on my list, Jason. That's a shout. Glenmurray. Now, of course, so many of us are familiar with the Glenmurrays that are bottom of the supermarket shelf, non-age statement. They're done for volume, for £20 and less. Sometimes you can buy these. But Glenmurray have the ability to put together some fantastic, engaging whiskies. I remember their Chardonnay finished one. I was recently fortunate enough to join a fantastic vertical night with Glenmurray at the Glasgow Whisky Club, and really great, engaging whiskey. But I wouldn't say that they're committed to natural presentation. I wouldn't say that they've made a decision to pursue that style. Travis is saying for American distilleries, he'd say Buffalo Trace and Heaven Hill are doing an amazing job. I agree. I hear lots and everything I taste from Heaven Hill. Even the Mellocorn is fantastic. Colourless Blue Things is saying only 43% recently, but how about Benriach? Yes, Benriach is on my list here as well, because there's lots of things that they do. But again, it's a distillery, a bit like Benromac, a bit like Glenmurray, that while they have the capability of doing some fantastically presented products, they've not kind of committed to that style yet. Malt Chronicles was brought up, and he also brought it up on Instagram. Malt Chronicles, you're absolutely right. Glengarry is worth a shout because of the 46% presentation of things. But you're saying Rachel Barry did some great things. Was it Rachel Barry that Glengarry's been 46% now for before Rachel Barry joined, I think. Certainly the 12-year-old is the Founders Reserve 46% as well. I'm not sure. Yeah, but another fair shout. Welsh Taurus saying, I'm going to give a shout out to independently bottled Kalila. Well, independent bottlers have also been, not all the time. But the majority of the independent bottlers, I'm not talking about Connoisseur's Choice from Gordon MacPhail. I'm not talking about the basic Signatory series. But generally, independent bottlers have been bringing a much more natural presentation. But most of the time, with independents, it's often single cask or a vatting of just a few casks, or maybe bottlings under license and things like that. And I think independent bottlers have already quite clearly declared that they're catering for malt fans, for whiskey people, for people that like to take a nice bottle home and enjoy a nice bottle and appreciate the whiskey. That's always been their thing. So I was kind of trying to focus and trying to work out who the producers were, who were bringing out official bottlings to the market and giving us that presentation as well. By the way, I don't think that it's an absolute necessary thing. You'll see from the Flora and Fauna video that I love whiskies that don't really meet a natural presentation. Lagavulin 16 is another great example as well. I love Lagavulin 16. I love lots of Lagavulin, but they don't always meet these requirements. It's not really necessary for the ABCD to be fully met. And I think if you insist on it, it's your choice. You absolutely can insist on it, of course, and I understand why you might. But if you do insist on it, I think you might get caught out like I have so many times, where you starve yourself of some really quite nice whiskey experiences simply because you might get a bit snobby. And we're all at a risk of getting a wee bit too elitist about whiskey because we're at that jaggy end of the spectrum, because we're out there trying the really the latest, super limited edition single cask, whatever it may be, and we just forget where whiskey has actually come from. Whiskey traditionally would have almost always been 40%, right? Always the volume would have been. And I think that despite a lot of fantastic whiskies that have disappeared, I think now is a fantastic time to be enjoying whiskey. And the community that's building up, the online community, we're all sharing these really good, engaging whiskies. So it's less dangerous in terms of going into a shop and just picking something up, or whether you're in an airport or whatever, because you've already got intelligence from the social media channels that you're following and things like that. So you can discover where the gems are hidden. Sid Martin is saying, I have a Balblero 5 that is non-chill filtered, and I'm assuming they're all like that. Balblair, yes, or even the 05 Balblair is bottled. It's on the list here, bottled at 46%. They actually say unchill filtered on the label as well. And that Balblair 05, you can see how they're very confident there. You can see how pale that whiskey is. It's very lightly coloured. You're right. Jason Whiskey Wise is saying Founders Reserve is 48%. I think also the Glengarry 12 is also 48%, Jason. I think you're right. Walter Montreal is saying he can't stand Glenmurray. That's there's a couple of people that say that they don't like Glenmurray. All I can say, Swami, is that I understand where you're coming from, but whiskey's continually teaching me, and I still make the mistake of saying I don't like this Loch Lomond. And then sometime down the road, you end up tasting something and going, wow, that's really nice, and then discovering it's something that you've only just declared that you didn't actually like. I'm constantly getting caught out with that. It's crazy. All the Inverhouse distilleries. Yes, Tony. I think Annock. Old Pulteney. See, Old Pulteney's a funny one because there's an Old Pulteney 17, and they declare on the label somewhere, I think, but Old Pulteney, the 17-year-old, and when the 21 was available, was the same. Unchill filtered, age statement. Fantastic whiskey, really characterful, really well presented. But Old Pulteney 12 is a high volume targeted product. So they've kind of split their strategy there. Because Old Pulteney 12 in the UK, you can buy anywhere for £25 and sometimes a bit cheaper. So that's 40%. Which then suggests that it's probably going to be one of these chill filtered whiskies as well. But it always carries an age statement, and it's one of the best value 12-year-olds or age statement whiskies you buy. It's regularly on offer and quite cheap to buy. So again, they are bringing it. they're bringing it on the premium whiskies, but they are not. It's not like a policy. It's not like a decision. But I think that's okay. And I think that the Old Pulteney 12 has proven how good it is. And it's a great bottle to pick up when it's on offer. It's a great bottle to pick up regardless. But that's an interesting one. Inverhouse is a good one to mention. Balblair, Anok, or from Knockdo, Old Pulteney. Forget who else. Nick is saying, sorry, I've missed travel. He's saying, all the amazing folks here. Thanks for the whiskey fun, but it's time to make dinner and get ready for the evening. Have a great time. You too, Travis. Fantastic. If you join in a wee bit later, make sure you grab my attention. And Nick is saying, I have to say, independent bottlers Signature Vintage are doing some amazing value bottles. They always have done. And their unchill filtered range, yes. And in their Cask Strength series as well. I tried their Clynleash and it blew my socks off. I'm on record talking about Signature Vintage Clynleash. Some of the Cask Strength stuff is absolutely fantastic. Bunnahabhain, absolutely Welsh. I mentioned them earlier. They don't colour or chill filter, and everything is at 46.3%. Absolutely. They do a lot of non-age statement stuff, but the core range is age statement. 12-year-old, 18-year-old. Eric is saying, oh, sorry, Raymaster. Welcome in, Raymaster. Good to see you again. Roy, do you think it pays off to become a member of SMWS? I mean, they have great bottlings, but here there are a lot of independent bottlers out there which don't require a membership. Absolutely. And they have a very, very tricky thing to do there. They need to keep their value. They need to keep their value prospect, their value proposition solid. I have renewed my membership with SMWS, but I delayed because I wasn't sure. But I did renew it, and I got an offer. I got a nice Balmainic bottle as part of an offer, and it made it worthwhile for me joining. And I love, because I live close to Edinburgh, because I can get to Edinburgh, I like using the facilities, especially to go through to the vaults occasionally and take friends and have some nice dinner there and some fantastic whiskies. I get value out of SMWS right now. But it's like whiskey in general. It's not the value that it used to be. It's not the value that it once was. So they've got to keep bringing their value proposition intact. There are so many independents out there bringing some great stuff. Eric is asking, do you think insisting that every thou shalt and thou shalt not about whiskey be followed lead to whiskey fundamentalism? I don't know if I'm successful at getting this across, Eric, but that's exactly what I try to avoid. I want to try and be as laid back about it as possible while being as informed as possible, if that makes any sense. And Tom is saying about 1 hour to go, Aqvavitae, 1 hour down. Oh, that's me an hour through already. And I haven't even told you yet how I got on at Macallan. So tell me, Tom, who is willing to put their name forward to Jason and I to participate in the quiz tonight? If you don't want a quiz, there doesn't have to be a quiz. I've probably scared quite a few of you away. But it'd be an awesome thing if we could have, and I don't mind if you've already done a quiz before and you want to put your name through it forward again, no problem. It's simply somebody to measure, somebody to take down a score and have a kind of head-to-head. Everybody participates in the quiz. There's some other names joined in. Andrew Meikle, fantastic to see you in. Alan Wilson, I don't know if I mentioned you earlier, Alan. Awesome. Bert Dram is in, superb. Brandon Lee is in. Christian G. David Evans. George Wagner, fantastic, George. Nice to see you in. I think Jason Coates, I think I mentioned you. I know that you joined me on the pre-show as well. Jason's fantastic to see you in. Carino, I've not seen that name before. Very welcome in here. And Santa Cruz, I did catch you, Chris. Thank you very much. So just mention another couple of people there. So yeah, if you want to join in the quiz, please put your name forward. If you don't want to have the quiz, tell me you don't want to have the quiz. But I think there's usually enough people that like to have it. And while you're thinking about participating, I'll tell you about my trip to Speyside just recently. So the Whiskey Rev is now working at Macallan. And he said, look, I'd like to invite you up. There's a friend and families thing to let everybody see the inside of the new distillery and everything. And And I was super keen to do that because I've been super curious to see what they're actually doing there. It's been fairly tightly kept under wraps. And I got to do that recently. I got to go up and hang out with a friend of mine, Roberto, who's occasionally joins us as Malt Mafioso and the Whiskey Rev, and we got to hang out in Speyside, and it was awesome, superb. Nice little trip, nice just to see the landscape, all the distilleries around, drop off, get a few photos. And I was ready to be pretty impressed by what they were doing at Macallan, but what struck me more than anything was the utter scale of what they've done there. I don't think you can, it's like a TARDIS, I don't think you can imagine the scale of what they've done under those grassy humps that so many people are making fun of just now. The impact that's had on the landscape compared to what the size of it actually is really unbelievable. And it feels like nothing that's happened or nothing that I've experienced in Scotch whisky before, really. I am not sure that anything like this has, certainly it's never existed in Scotch, but I'm not sure anything like this has existed in world whisky. I've certainly not heard of anything on this scale, of this impact, this size. It's quite amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Now, Macallan's not targeted to me. I am not a target customer for Macallan. There are things that Macallan do that I would like to have, but most of it is probably just a wee bit out of reach in terms of cost. A lot of it is really out of reach. But there's no question that they make very, very good quality spirit, that they make good quality whiskey, and that the way that they do things is very, very precise and very focused. And they're super, super successful. And remember that Macallan as a brand in terms of single malt isn't that old. It's just a few decades old in terms of successful single malt brand. There is so much that I can't share with you because everything is embargoed until they open their facility sometime in early June. But I was pretty blown away by what they've done. And whether you enjoy it or not, whether you find yourself relating to it, whether you bond with it, whether you buy into it, or whether you're kind of left a bit disconnected, it doesn't matter, because you can't deny the scale and the scope of what they've put together there. And also, I think what it is it's a demonstration of two things, and that's a demonstration of the future, perhaps, of whiskey, of Scotch whiskey, because it's not just setting a new bar, it's not just kind of raising the bar a little, it's completely redefined a visitor experience of what you would walk into and experience Scotch whisky in that way. And also, the second thing it does is that it's just such a beacon and marker of the confidence in Scotch whisky that exists right now. It's really, in terms of scale, it is quite fantastic. Ben is saying that he's jealous of the trip around the new Macallan. Well, I know, Ben, that you've just been to the old one. Saw it from the food area outside the visitor centre. Looks amazing. Interesting fact, they have 300,000 casks, while Glenfiddich have 960,000. And Jason Malt Review is saying he prefers a more hands-on approach and would rather pay a premium for that. Absolutely agree, Jason. I understand completely. Like I said, I don't think Macallan have got you or I in their sights in terms of a target customer. But there's no denying their success. And everyone is saying, it looks to me as if Burn Stewart Distill, with the fantastic whiskies, Diensten Bunhaven and Lechick, which just got a 91 on Ralphie. Yeah, I saw that. They do whiskey right, in my humble opinion. I have to agree. I think they've been doing it right for a few years now, and it's fantastic. And I hope they go on to reap success. And I hope that other people are able to look and see that the people that are being brave and bringing a more natural product are being successful, and that there is indeed a market out there for that. And Whiskey Biker, welcome in Whiskey Biker. It's good to see you. Do know what date in early June? I'm going to Speyside first week of June. Superb. Might drop in if it's open. You might catch it. And I don't think they're taking bookings because I don't think they've actually been able to iron out all the kinks and commit to a specific date, or maybe they're keeping it under wraps and they're just going to release it as some kind of thing. But I think your timing could be good. And Malt Chronicles saying, you were right, just did some research on Rachel Barry. Came in right after the release of the 48% no chill filtration. Yeah, I think that she came in a bit later. I'm going to kill my sources, probably just in love. Yeah, it'd be interesting for us to get together and have a chat about the whole Rachel Barry thing someday. Kieran May, well, thanks to Roy, Ralphie, and the STDs. I wonder what you're talking about there, Kieran. Roy, did you review the Longmorn 16? John, no, I have never reviewed the Longmorn 16, but I absolutely love that whiskey. 48%, non-chill filtered, natural colour, I think. 16 years old, £50 when it was around. It's not that anymore. It's not available anymore, but it's a wonderful, wonderful expression of whiskey. Really, really good whiskey. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So do we have any, Jason, do we have any people volunteering for the quiz? I got to meet up recently with a few whiskey folk. I got to meet Era, my friend Era and supporter, Era McFault at Deanston recently. I got to meet Dwayne when he was at Glasgow Airport, just stopping through. I got to say hello and share a dram with Dwayne. And I also got to share a dram with Paul Gibbs in Edinburgh. We got together and it turned out to be his birthday. So, of course, I had to buy him a birthday dram in Edinburgh. That was fantastic. So it's been a good couple of weeks, the last couple of weeks for me in whiskey, and the next couple of weeks going forward is also really cool as well. Festivals and things like that coming up, lots of things happening. It's actually been difficult to have the dry days I promised myself on the last live stream. And Jason is saying there's nobody putting their name forward for the quiz. Well, I'm happy to go in for the quiz. I think I would do quite well. There's Tash Dons. That's a new name. And Tash is saying that you would be happy to enter the quiz. Tash, just tell me. I would be happy to take your name. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. I'd be happy to take your name. Have you participated in the quiz before as a Tash Don 7? Fantastic. And Bourbon Shenanigans is in as well. Fantastic, Mike. Great to see you. Super to welcome you in again. Okay, what am I going to do there? I'm going to get ready for the quiz and I'm going to open the... I'm going to have to rinse out a glass. And open this Springbank 12. My friend Roddy was in earlier, and him and his accomplice has got a YouTube channel, The Whiskey Woman. Just starting out, having some fun with it, those guys. Working out what they want to do and things, but they did a Springbank 12 Cask Strength review, which I burst the gut laughing at. I thought it was really, really funny. Reminded me to link to that in the description. Oh, forgot to give you the pop there. Wow. Just poured a wee bit of this just now. Eric's saying he's dry every day, but just in case I slip, he wears Depends adult undergarments. Yeah. I know where you're coming from, Eric, huh? And Dwayne is saying it was great to meet you in person during my brief time in Glasgow. It was great, Dwayne. And you know, I'll try and do that as much as I can, time permitting, if you guys are around. And if I can't meet up, I'll try. There's really quite much more sulfur on this than I expected. Not negative, not like egg sulfur, not like bad cask sulfur, but kind of more savory, meaty sulfur. Obviously, it's just cracked, just open, so we'll let it sit in the glass for a little bit. I've got a wee bit more of this Loch Lomond to finish. Nice glug. Good. I'm going to a festival on Saturday as well. I don't really know where the festival is. I was hoping that Craig Doley, my friend that I'm going with on Saturday, would be in to remind me it's in Larbert somewhere, but it's not a Larbert festival. Umami Rod. Is that what you think this Springbank is giving us? I get it in a lot of whiskies. It almost tastes and smells a wee bit. It smells mostly like beef stock, or like a really savory stock based soup. So I think umami is consistent with that, isn't it? Rod, do me a favor. Stay and participate in the quiz. 10 questions. I'd love to take you as a participant in the quiz. Would you be willing to do that? Yep, umami, sulfur, gravy, Maillard reaction. Wow. Roddy is he's a member of our whiskey club. Actually, a member of the committee. I think you're president this year, Roddy. Even are you? You also work at Good Spirits Company in Glasgow, and you're one of the coolest guys to hang out with and get, well, for me, get my geek on with whiskey. And he's saying, I go on then. Superb. Absolutely superb. So we've got Roddy against a newbie that I have welcomed in for the first time tonight, who is Tash. Now, Tash, tell me, are you still in? I'm scrolling up to try and catch you to see if you confirmed. Jason, if you're sending me messages, I do apologize. There you are, Tash. And you're saying that you are for the quiz. Have you confirmed? Yes, superb. We are all Tash. Fantastic, super. So we've got 2 participants, 10 questions. There are some Whiskey Rev questions in there tonight. We are already on for an hour and 15 minutes already. So I think it's time to get on with the quiz. And if I remember anything that I've forgotten to share with you as I sip this Springbank 12, I'll share it with you then. But we'll get on with the quiz, and we might actually get through tonight within 2 hours. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Okay, so we have Tash, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, against my friend Roddy. Tash, I'm not sure how you are in terms of whiskey knowledge, but you're up against it with Roddy, I have to say. But remember, it's less to do with kind of that and more to do with the participation and the crowd getting involved and things like that as well. So hope everybody... Highland Hotel Stirling, Willie Doler is saying. Is that where the festival is on Saturday, Willie? I'm struggling. See if I don't arrange the thing. And there's George Kaplan, just bought me a dram. He's saying, didn't study this week for the quiz, so I'll have to catch it on the replay. Duty calls. Great discussion as always, Roy. I need to get some guests in, George. Maybe you'd like to participate one week, and then it would be discussion, because mostly it's me monologuing. But I thank you very, very much, and I raise a glass of Springbank 12 Cask Strength to you, George. Thank you so much. You're a great, wonderful supporter, and I love having you around. An absolute gentleman as well. Thanks, Andrew Meikle. Nice to see you in, Andrew. He's saying time for work. Thank God it's Friday. Yeah. It's not Friday here yet. Almost Friday, Andrew. Fantastic. Sorry, Roddy. No pressure then. A wee bit of pressure. And I have to say, I'm always a bad judge of the questions, because when I think the quiz is easy, I get feedback that it's been a bit difficult and vice versa. But I think the questions tonight are a wee bit on the tricky side. Well, they were for me, and a few of them were sent in by the Whiskey Rev. So let's get on with the quiz and share it with you. Jason, give me the thumbs up if you're ready for the quiz. He's a fantastic guy helping me organize these questions and answers and things that come in. Welsh Taurus said that he got 4 out of 10 in my stunning performance. Well, sometimes you just have bad nights, and other nights you only know it when you know it, right? Okay, so what normally happens on the quiz, just for those folk who haven't participated before, is I usually give a countdown, and I just say 3, 2, 1, enter, so that everybody hits enter at the same time, and there's less kind of people feeding off each other. John Paul van der Hoven, again, thank you, my friend. And he's saying for the wonderful flora and fauna video. John Paul, I'm so glad that you enjoyed that. I was a wee bit worried that it might be a bit niche, but it's certainly been well received. People seem to like it and react well with it. I had great fun making it. I like to make things that I like, and I'm quite passionate about flora and fauna. I was in the Highlander Inn recently in Speyside, and they had a glass cabinet up on their wall, and they had all 26 bottles, including the Speyburn. I believe it's a real Speyburn cabinet up on the wall. I'm going to put that on Instagram. I got a nice picture of it. I don't know how it turned out. I took a picture of it. But thank you very much for that, John Paul. You're welcome. Jason has given me the thumbs up, and we are ready to go with the quiz. So let's click onto this screen. Show and broadcast. Here we go. So you should be able to see this question now. I hope you can. But the first question should be quite an easy one. This is almost a giveaway just to get you warmed up. But which distillery claims to be the oldest on Islay? Which distillery claims to be the oldest on Islay? And of course, the key there is claims to be, because there is debate. And I think there are other distilleries on Islay that could put a viable claim in to suggest that they are. 3, 2, 1, go. Which distillery claims to be the oldest on Islay? Everything's pouring in. Sorry, I'm completely distracted by this delicious Springbank. I don't even know where to start with it. Razvan Oriel Dombrava, good to see you in, Razvan. It's good to have you back again. Very early, Tash has jumped in with the answer of Bowmore along with Reb Mordecai. Everyone is saying Bowmore. Looks like everybody is saying Bowmore. I'm looking for Roddy's answer. Roddy, have you got a delay? Are you here, my friend? Roddy, still operating, our oldest ever, right? If they're making a claim, they're still operating. Yes. Oh dear. I know that. Have you answered already, Roddy, and I just missed it? Razvan is saying he's not joined from the start this time. We'll look at the replay. No problem. That's what it's there for. Roddy's apologising. And Jason is saying my stream has frozen. Oh dear. And Jan is saying if there's debate about it, then surely there are multiple correct answers. No, because Jan Frederick, I appreciate what you're saying there. But this distillery is... there isn't really much of a debate. They claim that they are the oldest, and it's not really challenged. It's widely accepted. Roddy's saying he'll try to be sensible. Please, I don't know what you're sipping tonight, Roddy, but it'd be awesome if you tried your best to not be a pedant. I know you're not a pedant. Anyway, it's the distillery who is currently claiming to be the oldest on Islay. And I'm going to give that point to Tash, who quite clearly said and was waited till the 3-2-1 and was the first in after the 3-2-1 to my eyes with the answer that it was indeed Bowmore. So yeah, there is I believe, and the Whiskey Rev tells me that in the recent Whiskey Galore book, he told me specifically page 146. There is some debate that Lagavulin could realistically make a challenge to suggest that they're the oldest. But regardless, it's Bowmore. That's the answer I was looking for. They claim to be the oldest on Islay, and that's the answer I was looking for. Jan Frederick Leversund, Roddy saying to Jan Frederick that he's been silly. Yes, my friend. Question 2. Which of these was the most popular attraction in 2017? I find this very interesting. So this is in terms of footfall, how many people visited these distilleries as a tourist attraction last year. And these are 3 Diageo distilleries. The figures were published quite recently because Diageo was boasting about just how huge a successful tourist year that they had. And which was the most popular? Was it A, Glenord in the Highlands, or B, Lagavulin in Islay, or C, Clynelish also in the Highlands? So 3, 2, 1, was it A, B, or C? A, Glenord, B, Lagavulin, or C, Clynelish? Just give me A, B, or C. So it's not always about whiskey distilleries and whiskey production and kind of regular whiskey knowledge. Sometimes it's just little facts like this, which I always find really interesting. So we've got Glenord is A, B is Lagavulin, and C is Clynelish. So for question 2, I see Tash has answered super early. Again, Tash, well done, fantastic, and answered Clynelish. So you would be suggesting C for Clynelish. And I'm going to see if Rod has been sensible. Rod's saying Glenord. Malt Chronicles, C. Let's see who agrees with you. Rob Connor Strang agrees with you. Mikey Hay agrees with you. Knowledgeable guys agreeing with Rod. Sid Martin is saying A as well. They're all saying Glenord. Okay. This was interesting to me. It was, in fact, as Roddy says, Glenord Distillery. Now, Glenord is most commonly recognised as their singleton of Glenord, which isn't a European release. I think it's mostly in Asia. But Glenord is a difficult whiskey to come across, but it's actually quite a large producer of whiskey. And it's obviously a big visitor attraction as well. I've got the numbers here for you. The Glenord was 35,000 visitors. Lagavulin out in Islay was 27. And Clynelish, bizarrely, maybe just because of that extra length of journey north of Inverness that you have to go to get up to Brora and visit Clynelish, it was 8,500. So there you go. Glenord was one of Diageo's, I think it was in the top 5 for Diageo in terms of visitor attractions, maybe just outside 5 or 6. So Roddy, you managed to get a point back there because Tash unfortunately answered Clynelish, C. Okay, let's move on to question 3. And a bit of a giveaway one, I think. Which master blender called his autobiography Goodness Knows? Please answer in 3, 2, 1, go. Which master blender called his autobiography Goodness Knows? I haven't read this. And Malt Chronicles is saying, I'd figure people would go to Clynelish to set foot on hallowed ground of Brora. Absolutely. Absolutely, Malt Chronicles. Soon to be producing again. I wonder if they've started construction up there yet. Okay, the questions for question 3 is pouring in now. Everyone is saying, I see Singleton very common in DC, but I've never tried it. Sucks, right? I wouldn't say it sucks, but it's not a grabber for me. I've not really had any of the Singletons that's really made me go, wow. Okay, Rod Graham is saying Richard Patterson, and he's been super fast, Roddy. Thank you very much this time. Answering early. Everybody seems to think it's Patterson, Richard Patterson, everyone Patterson. So let's, for Tash is saying, wow, you'd be typing in a hurry there, Tash, with the caps locks on. He's also said Richard Patterson. And Tom R has said Swami. Tom, you're awesome. The master blender whose autobiography was Goodness Knows is indeed Richard Patterson. So a nice easy point for you both there. Moving on to question 4. I'm going to give you an image now, a picture to see. So I hope that you've got this up big enough for you to be able to pick out pictures easily. Jason Whiskey Wise, or as he's known as Mr. E150A. It's very cynical of you, Jason, but I know where you're coming from. Okay, there's a pictorial one, and I just want you to tell me the single malt just as soon as you can. I'll show it straight to you. 3, 2, 1. Which single malt would you find this on the label? Just answer straight away, please, as soon as you can. And I'll leave this up so that you can ponder it, and I'll sip this Springbank in the background. Delicious it is too. Eric's saying, isn't Richard Patterson the guy who throws whiskey on the floor? Indeed. Indeed he is, Eric. He's a bit theatrical. And I don't know how I would react if he did that to my whiskey. Okay. Loads of people are swinging in and saying Deanston, Deanston, Deanston. Roddy is saying not a clue. Loads and loads of people are saying Deanston, 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 Deanston. Wow. Everyone is saying no clue. Springbank. I'm looking for Tash, who said Deanston in capital letters. So Roddy, you're very good. It's very gentlemanly of you to say not a clue. Fantastic. And Tom Harris saying, Roy, I posted a picture to your Facebook page that is related to the first question. Wow, Tom, I haven't even spotted that yet. I apologise. I'll look out for it, my friend. And Welsh Torres saying, would that be Deanston? Well, Roddy, indeed, that is Deanston. And I think it's quite striking. They've managed, obviously, it's not a traditional distillery in profile. So this is the old cotton mill that used to be, and this is the River Teeth, I guess, and the water wheel next to it. So yeah, Deanston is what I was asking for there. Well done. As we move on to question 5, this is a quick one. Now, Roddy, you're going to have a laugh at this. This is a giveaway one for you, I think. Recently, a whiskey club night, Roddy had some fun introducing some whiskies by introducing them not by their proper name, but by their anagram name. He was taking their name and he made an anagram of them. And this is this question. This is not one of the anagrams that Roddy did, but nevertheless, as fast as you can, a bit like the picture, just answer as soon as you've got this. No 3, 2, 1, just answer straight away. I'm going to share with you. Avian Gull is an anagram of which whiskey distillery? Avian Gull. I'm going to leave that up so that you can try to fathom it, but just please hit your answers as fast as you can. Avian Gull. Eric is saying Richard Patterson's dog must be a happy puppy lapping up the floor. Yeah. I think in some of his more theatrical things, I don't actually, it's pretty expensive stuff that he throws on the floor as well. Lots of people pouring in. Bit of a giveaway one. Roddy has answered. He said Lagavulin. I'm waiting on Tash. Probably fathoming out if Lagavulin is a fit. Or is there too many L's in there? Malt Chronicles is saying you mentioned this one last time. Yes, I did. And Tash, you absolute star for just being honest and saying that you don't know. Fantastic. So Rory manages to claw one back there. So you're now, after 5 questions, you're both on 3. Superb. Because the answer was indeed Lagavulin. Okay, question 6. Now this is a curious one. I think this is quite tricky. Deerstalker is a branded single malt produced at which distillery? Deerstalker is this is a single malt. It's not branded by the distillery name. It's branded Deerstalker. At which distillery? 3, 2, 1. Answer. Deerstalker. Now, this is curious because this distillery, you can get a lot of it by single cask and independent bottlers and things, but they don't have an official bottling in their own right. This is the closest that you can get to an official bottling. So give me your answers, please. Question 6. Era, my friend Era, has answered Balmenic. Razvan has answered Glenfiddich. Whiskey Biker has answered Vinrinus. Tash has answered Brave Al. Alan has said not a clue, Roy. Tony Evans is saying Redbreast. Connor is saying pass. Wow, this is a tricky one. This looks like a bit of a banana skin for a few folk. And Rod has answered, curiously, 2 distilleries, Balmainic, and I forget the other one. Wow. So there you go, Roddy. You think that it's done, Deerstalker is released by 2 distilleries. Wow. So that could mean I have a problem. Tom is saying this is a difficult 10-question quiz. Wow. You think so? This is a difficult question. This one is a difficult question. The answer I was looking for, Roddy and Tash, is Balmainic. Balmainic. Now, if Deerstalker was produced at another distillery, Roddy, I hope it's not Breval, because that's what Tash has answered. And if Tash has answered Breval and it's right, I could be deducting a point unfairly. I am of the understanding that Breval, Balmainic make Deerstalker. So well done, Roddy. You get the point for that. And you move one ahead as we move into question 7. And I think this is quite tricky. This is a Whiskey Rev question, but I want you to look at an image here, but pay attention to the question. Where would you find these flat-topped stills? So what we have here is a very curious still top here, where you've got a very flat finish, almost like it's been cut at the top. It's very distinctive. And I'm going to leave this image up while you answer. 3, 2, 1, just go ahead and answer, please. Tom's asking for more rum questions. If I knew anything about rum, Tom, I'd feel confident about that, but unfortunately, no. Razvan is saying Glenmurray. James Hope is saying Old Pulteney. Sid Martin is saying underneath the flat top. Hoyt is saying Ben Nevis. Tony is saying he doesn't know. Connor is also saying Pulteney Distillery. Flat finish. Back to Dalmore again. Well, that's cynical. That is a wee bit cynical. Yep. But hey, you know. Tash is saying he doesn't know. So I'm now looking for Roddy. Roddy's probably still off checking the Breval Balmainic thing for the Deerstalker. You're a star, Roddy. Thank you. Tom is saying, I'm sure Connor could send you some. Well, it's actually, recently I've tried a couple of rums, and I'm working out that there's lots of rums out there that are really quite engaging for people who normally drink whiskey. Obviously, the ones I've tried are on the sweeter end of the spectrum, but some of them could pass for, they're really, really close to whiskey. Reb Mordecai is saying Malt Whiskey Yearbook 2014, page 92. Wow, Reb, you're some guy. Deerstalker at Breval Distillery. Reb, you hero. You have just saved a point. Rod has also answered Pulteney for the flat top stills. Deerstalker, Balmainic, Altavania, North British, Macduff, and a Thrusk. Okay. Breval, 2014. Reb, let's see if I have the handy. No, I don't. I only have the yearbook going back to 2015 here. So, Reb, I trust you fully. I'm going to give a point to my friend Tash for that. If it's saying that it was produced at Breval, I'm going to trust you on that and give that. Is Roddy, I think you'll be pretty calm with that. Are you okay? And you found out that there's a can of worms going on here that Deerstalker could theoretically have made at Balmainic, Altavania, North British. North British? What? Macduff and a Thrusk. And Rod is saying yon stills were Pulteney. Let's have a look. I've got an answer in from both of you now. Tash has admitted he doesn't know, and Roddy is saying Pulteney. Pulteney does have very distinctive stills, but these stills with this flat top is Cragganmore. Now, I think I think that nobody answered Cragganmore. I didn't see anyone answer Cragganmore. Oh no, Jan Frederick Leverson said Cragganmore. Well done, Jan. Fantastic. That's a Whiskey Rev question. And I think you're the only one, Jan, who said Cragganmore. Wow. So we have a 0 as we move on to question 8. Excuse me. Question 8, I think this is going to be a wee bit easier for most. It's a stills question. It's still about stills. But Tom is saying, Aqvavitae, I can send you a couple of websites that rate the sugar in rums, so you can look for rums with no sugar added, and they're quite excellent. Whiskey Biker is saying, had a look at Whiskey Base search for Deerstalker multiple onces. See, you can get caught out easily in these things. Deerstalker, who'd have known? Both our participants got a point for that. Well done, guys. Deerstalker is an independent bottler. He's not very active, so it's understandable that not many folk would see them often. Yeah. Good insight, Roddy. Thank you. Reb Mordecai's tried to share a link, it looks like. I'm going to share that with everyone, Reb, so that people can see it. There you go. Okay, let's move on to question 8 quickly. Paying attention to, in which distillery would you find Wee Witchy? Now, Wee Witchy, I'm referring to a still that's known as Wee Witchy. In 3, 2, 1, please throw your answers in. There's another Whiskey Rev question you can see by his stamp on the bottom left. Give me your answers, please, for which distillery, in which distillery would you find Wee Witchy? Connor Strang is saying pass. Roddy's thrown an answer in as Mortlach. Error, my friend Error has mentioned Mortlach. Whiskey Biker Mortlach, Malt Chronicles Mortlach. Wow. Tash is saying Mortlach maybe. Tony Evans Mortlach. Everybody's saying Mortlach. Razvan is saying Gespin Riak. Hoyt Devil's Cut. What? Hoyt? Are you on a huge delay again tonight? Connor is saying Springbank. Oh, that's interesting, Connor. Everyone is saying Clynelish. Okay. So Tash is saying Mortlach. Rod Graham has said Mortlach. And Wee Witchy is indeed a tiny wee and curious still at Mortlach. Mortlach is that famous and bizarre one of the distilleries that split their low wines, I guess, and then further distill the low wines separately and end up with a distillation process of 2.81 times. And I think this Wee Witchy still is really quite small, so I think that it's limited in terms of capacity. So the low wines from one set of wash stills are split bizarrely, like 75-25 or 80-20. And then Wee Witchy is run 2 or 3 times. And then that joins up with the distillate at the end and the end calculation. I've never actually sat down and studied this properly. I perhaps should. Ends up being 2.81 times. So there we go. Fantastic. Both of you guys answered correctly. And the scores as we go into question 9, 2 left, is 5 to Roddy and 5 to Tash. Wow. Very close. Fantastic. With 2 questions left to go. Let's go question 9. What is this? Sadly, Mortlach is not the same since Diageo made it premium brand in their portfolio. Yeah, but they're still keeping the same process. What they've done with it from a marketing point of view is a bit of a disaster for us. We all miss the flora and fauna Mortlach, I know. But there's still fantastic independent bottled Mortlachs out there. Fortunately for us. We don't need to participate in what Diageo has done there. Okay. Question 9. Which famous Chicago whiskey bar has been commemorated on a Compass box release? So if you've got your answers, just hit 3, 2, 1, enter. So this was a release by Compass Box quite a few years ago now, I think. But I think there's talk about them doing another one this year, or they've just done another one or something. I don't know. It was quite a famous release, quite a striking label on it. And it was a Compass Box release to commemorate one of the world's most famous whiskey bars, apparently. I've never been there. I would like to go there. Don't know anything about it, but it was a fairly famous release. Tash, wow, straight out the traps with an answer very, very early on, saying Delilah. Rod is saying immediately afterwards, saying no idea. Whiskey Biker, no idea. David Evans, hi David, he's saying Ayala. I think you mean Asila. Whiskey Throttle is saying Delilah. Connor Strang, is it Benny's? Keep hearing it mentioned. Or Benny's. Benny's is a retail outlet. The Untouchables from Welsh. Welsh is saying the Untouchables. Malt Chronicles is saying Trump. Okay. Alan Wilson is saying Delilah. Reb Mordecai is saying Delilah. Tom R, bet you know that. Delilah. Tom R, you're in Chicago, or is it you're up in Illinois somewhere or close to there, aren't you? Over 2 hours. Keep going. More is better. No. I'm not. No, not yet. No, I'm not at over 2 hours yet, Tom. Let's see where this is at. It is Delilah's, and I think I've got a little picture to share with you so you can see the bottling. Got a striking label, typical of Compass Box, quite striking packaging. So there you go. The answer I was looking for was indeed Delilah's, and Tash answered. So putting Roddy under pressure by going one ahead with only one question left to go. I don't know how difficult this is. It says a Whiskey Ref question, but it's not actually. That's a bit of a mistake. So this is the last question. And Roddy, all you can do now, my friend, is tie. And Tash could seal the victory here. Connor is saying Aqvavitae, the Flora and Fauna Mortlach, or a similar whiskey is returning. Wow. Tell me more, Connor. How do you know such things? That would be awesome. When I was up in Speyside this week, I had no, it wasn't the Mortlach I ordered, and then they had Mortlach available by the Dram in the Highlander Inn, but they also had the Clynelish Flora and Fauna, and I've got a bottle of that downstairs sealed, and I really wanted to try it, and I tried that. It was very, very good. Last question, folks. Question 10. Pritchard's Distillery is located in which country? Pritchard's. 3, 2, 1 answer. Pritchard's Distillery. I don't know anything about Pritchard's Distillery, by the way, other than I know where it's located. Tash has answered very, very quickly again. Connor has said Australia. Tash is saying USA. Hoyt is saying New Zealand. Razvan is saying France. Welsh Toro is saying Australia. Rod is saying not Scotland. Malt Chronicles is saying Australia. Alan Wilson is saying USA. Santa Cruz is saying Kentucky. Specific. White Whiskey Biker is saying USA. Jason Whiskey Wise is saying under the equator. Wow. Tony Evans is saying Tennessee. Why not Scotland? And Rod is saying, why not Scotland? Santa Cruz is saying USA. Okay, last question. Now, Tash has answered really quite early. He answered USA. Pritchard's Distillery is in the USA. It's actually in Tennessee. Apparently, it's the third biggest distillery in Tennessee after, obviously, Jack Daniels and George Dickel. Tennessee, as Tony Evans said, quite rightly, and the answer I was looking for, obviously, USA, which Tash answered. So Tash scores a quite unbelievable, amazing victory. And I can tell you now, Roddy is one of the most knowledgeable guys and one of the most fantastic kind of whiskey geek types you can spend time with, just because of how much knowledge he has. So Tash, for you to take Roddy's considerable scalp, and if you want to know what I mean by considerable scalp, go over to the channel, The Whiskey Woman. Woman is spelled Scots, as in Scots for women. Woman is W-O-M-A-N. Uman. They're spelling it, Whiskey Woman. There you can find Roddy in all his glory, and as a very charming sidekick. In fact, the Whiskey Woman herself, Katrina, and the two of them are having fun putting together a channel right now, and they've got 10 episodes out there already. If you want some fun, if you want to have a belly laugh, watch their Springbank 12 Cask Strength episode. I loved it. I really laughed out loud, and I thought it was fantastic. Roddy, well done for participating, but you were beaten by a very, very strong performer in Tash tonight. Tash, if you've been in here before, I apologise. I've never spotted you or never picked you up. This is the first time I've welcomed you. A pleasure to have you join the quiz and to put together such a fantastic performance. But you've scored 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 10, which is a clear pass mark. Roddy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 10, which is a just made a pass mark. But I have to be honest, I felt that tonight, to get 7 out of 10 tonight, Tash, was epic because it was a tough quiz tonight. Sid Martin is saying the Whiskey Exchange have Mortlach Flora and Fauna for 189. The last place I bought Flora and Fauna Mortlach was at the Whiskey Exchange when it was 95 quid. And I felt that it was getting close to, I don't think it's a 200 quid bottle of whiskey, to be honest. I still think it's better than the Mortlach 18. I think it's a more engaging whiskey. And but I'm not willing to pay 160 quid for the Mortlach 18 for a 50cl bottle. Not a chance. It's ridiculously overpriced. I think that £200 for the Flora and Fauna Mortlach. But you're buying a wee bit of history now because that's long since been deleted. Thank you, everybody. Let's just quickly do a quick wind up. Tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, the Scotch for Dummies have Andy Reid on from Glenmurray. She's joining the Scotch for Dummies. Go along and support those guys. I love watching those guys on an early Friday morning. I set my alarm a little early and I get my iPad out and I watch their live in the next morning. I enjoy those guys. They're going live at 10 o'clock, which is about 3 o'clock in the morning for us. If you're up late, fine, fantastic, go. But if not, you can pick them up in the replay tomorrow. If you've done that, give them a thumbs up and leave a comment to say that you've watched and enjoyed the show. Do the same for me tonight. If you've enjoyed this, give me some feedback as to what you want to see more of, what's less of, like I always ask. Give us a bit of a comment and feedback. I love hanging out with you guys. You're great guys. You're very, very kind to me. You support me fantastically well. Superb job. Thank you so much, Roddy. I'll bring you along that sample that I've promised you on Tuesday night. I look forward to seeing you in the club on Tuesday night. Go and support what Rod and Katrina are doing on YouTube. They're just starting out. They're doing their episodes just now to work out what the technical implications are. I know how difficult that can be, and just bringing some honest content and whiskey shenanigans over on the Whiskey Woman in YouTube. WUMAN, the Whiskey Woman, whiskey without an E, of course. And just another fantastic Thursday night. Thanks to everybody who bought me a wee virtual dram tonight. I really, really do appreciate it. Mashburn as well. He's saying thanks very much. I didn't even spot you in. Thanks for joining, Mashburn. I apologize to anybody I didn't catch tonight. I did make an extra special effort to catch all of you. Let me know what you're getting up to in the next couple of weeks. My next live will be the 24th of May, 2 weeks tonight. And I look forward to welcoming you all then. Then if I can arrange a guest, I will do that. It's been a while since I've had a guest. And I realise it takes a bit of pressure off me and it maybe makes it a bit more interesting for you. I don't know. Thanks. Superb job again by my friend Jason Whiskey-Wise. I hope that Jason can join in and I can have a bit of a chat with him after the call and I can welcome you all in 2 weeks. I'm going to finish this tremendous Springbank 12-year-old, raise a glass to you and say to everyone, Slàinte, and until next time. Thank you, folks.